And only right here tonight on the WHAS11 night team. For the very first time, we are hearing tonight that there could be another possible way of taking down that house full of chemicals instead of burning it right to the ground. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Doug Proffitt. After a public meeting tonight on the possible controlled burn, our John Charlton learned about that new option in a one-on-one interview. This is all developing because the EPA is now coming to Applegate Lane to weigh in before moving forward with the controlled burn, which is still on the table. We have team coverage of tonight's public meeting about the house in Highview, talking with residents about their concerns. But first, John Charlton on those new discussions about the best way to get rid of those chemicals.
We are not going to move forward with any plan until I am satisfied that it can be done in the absolute safest possible way.
With packed pews at Highview Baptist Church, Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg and his panel of department heads assured residents that conditions have to be right to burn down 6213 Applegate Lane.
We want a nice clear day, low humidity, obviously light winds.
The plan is for the fire to be so intense, so hot that the housed hazardous and explosive chemicals would be incinerated and the house would collapse on itself. Last week, the mayor said it was the only option because all the junk hoarded in the house made it too dangerous, too difficult to maneuver inside and remove the chemicals. However, at this community hearing on the planned controlled burn, we heard for the first time if
and when potentially this burn does take place.
That's because the city is in touch with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. And Monday, WHAS11 found out the city had its first direct conversation with the EPA to discuss alternatives to setting the house on fire.
An alternative is, a contractor coming in and actually methodically taking things out one by one in the house if a contractor will do that.
Doing that will take longer, and before that, we're told getting the EPA on site to assess is going to take some time. But that right time could also take some time.
We don't have a target date, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever that is.
Again, when and if a controlled burn actually happens is unclear. However, the city urges folks in the immediate area to download the Smart 911 app or sign up for Lens Alert for timely updates. At Highview Baptist Church, I'm John Charlton for the WHAS11 night team, on your side.
And more of our team coverage now as residents and businesses near Applegate Lane were invited to attend tonight's meeting in person. Many others watched it online. WHAS11 night team's Taylor Woods and photojournalist Ian Hardwitt covered the top concerns that were answered at tonight's meeting.
Long lines, Highview residents writing out their questions, waiting to hear the plan for 6213 Applegate Lane, the house filled with dangerous chemicals. Stephen Ward is concerned about his mom, who lives 2 houses down.
She's in her 80s. If something happens to the house, if there's some damage to the house, who's going to cover to take care of that? That's my main purpose.
Many residents came into the meeting with so many questions.
How that's going to affect the fire, where it's going to do, what's going to do to the air. We're just kind of concerned about that.
And during the meeting, some of those questions were answered. Officials say air monitoring will be a top priority before, during, and after. Then, of course, there were some questions that lightened the mood in the room.
What will we find when we return to our homes?
Our hope is just like you left it.
There is no exact timing when the controlled burning will start, and it's clear after this meeting it won't happen anytime soon. But when that date is set, residents will be given a 48-hour notice.
They evacuate or whatever, she'll go to my house, which is, I live right about a mile from there, so I don't know. They may chase me out too, I don't know.
And if residents need shelter, food and resources will be provided.
I hope that they put us up in a shelter. It'd be a pretty good one.
The questions from serious to one that caught everyone off guard but provided a laugh.
What mitigation for if there are rats in the location?
If there's anything in the house, it will be consumed in the fire.
And if you didn't get your questions answered tonight, you can visit louisvilleky.gov for more updates and questions. Reporting in Highview, Taylor Woods, WHAS11 night team, on your side.
Now to Mark Hibble. He's the man accused of possessing those chemicals. Facing a Louisville judge today, he has been indicted on charges of burglary and wanton endangerment. Hibble remains in Louisville Metro Corrections on a bond of $50,000. It's a first ever for Jefferson County schools, happening tonight in other Kentucky school districts. A new set of rules they must follow by order of a new gender law. The controversial Kentucky Senate Bill 150. Faced with a state deadline, JCPS passed its plan tonight, 2 days before the start of school. When it comes to schools, Senate Bill 150 bans discussions on gender expression, sexual orientation, and gender identity. It also allows teachers to ignore a student's preferred pronouns and restricts bathroom access. WHS 1119's Connor Steffen and photojournalist Emma Gefter join us live now with more on what this new policy will include. Connor?
Yeah, Doug, there was a sense among the board here that there is no perfect outcome really when you think about it. Any policy implementing the anti-trans law SB 150 will impact students.
I'm still virulently angry at everyone in Frankfort who has put us in this position and who are using our children as political footballs.
A reluctant 5-2 vote coming from the Jefferson County School Board tonight, approving a JCPS policy needed to implement the law aimed at transgender students, SB 150.
One of the most challenging issues that we have faced, and our goal is to support our students without doubt.
The board adopted a third draft to the JCPS policy, which includes a statement of concern. It describes the district's view that SB 150 is, quote, discriminatory and creates, quote, barriers to access and, quote, equal education opportunity for students. The district included exceptions for students diagnosed with gender dysphoria, suggesting they could receive a special accommodation, including protections against misgendering and approval of the use of bathrooms tied to their gender identity.
I'm a bilingual associate instructor at Western High School, and I'm certainly not going to comply with SB 150.
But even with concessions, JCPS lawyers acknowledge this policy only protects a fraction of trans students.
It limits the protections that trans youth will have and gender nonconforming youth will have. Not all students are going to be able to get a gender dysphoria diagnosis, and they're not going to be able to be protected by this.
More than a dozen people attending the meeting tonight scrutinized the board's decision to implement SB 150, saying it sends a message to state lawmakers.
And they're not going to stop because we capitulate, because we go along with the laws that they pass. No, that is going to embolden them. And what's going to be next?
They have this message for trans students who will head back to school in 2 days.
Yeah, my message is that we're here, that don't feel isolated, don't give up, reach out for help, find someone that you can trust, look for us in the community, reach out to our organizations. There's a lot of organizations, there's 18 different organizations that have been sponsoring this campaign, so you're not alone, and reach out for help.
So you've heard us use the term gender dysphoria multiple times throughout this story. For those who are unfamiliar, gender dysphoria is generally defined as the feelings of discomfort or distress that occur in people whose gender identity differs from their biological sex. We do know that the school board will be handing down this policy to principals and guidance for it by tomorrow morning. This policy takes effect immediately. Live in Louisville, Connor Steffen, the WHAS 1119 on your side.
Connor, thank you. Senate Bill 150 also bans gender-affirming care for transgender youth. That ban is in effect following a ruling last Monday from the 6th District U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, the ruling allows the ban to continue while the issue goes through the courts. The ACLU, representing several families, has challenged the law as unconstitutional. New tonight on the WHAS 1119, a grand jury has indicted a man in connection to a deadly shooting outside a Jefferson Community and Technical College building in downtown Louisville. This happened just hours after the mass shooting at Old National Bank on the very same date, April 10th. Krishawn Philpott was indicted on complicity to murder, complicity assault, and possession of a handgun as a convicted felon. 24-year-old Siobhan Moore was killed, and a woman was hurt in the shooting near the JCTC campus at 8th and Chestnut Streets. Philpott's bond is set at $500,000. The suspended Manual High School football coach Donnie Stoner appeared in court today on 20 counts of sex abuse charges. Investigators say Stoner allegedly abused a 17-year-old female student at his home and at the school. He has pleaded not guilty. Stoner has posted his bond and is on home incarceration, but has a work release. A JCPS spokesperson says he is reassigned to administrative duties that are away from any students. Survey crews will be back out tomorrow in southern Indiana as they take a look at all the damage from those strong storms overnight. The National Weather Service says they discovered damage from an EF1 tornado in Du Bois and Orange counties of Indiana, but it's not clear if it was one long tornado or several tornadoes. And take a look in Paoli. Much of the damage was focused on the town square, with damage right to the courthouse and several buildings. At one store, the rooftop was ripped off, with more damage to some windows and the walls. Another downtown business owner says he was alerted about the damage right in the middle of the night.
My buddy called me and told me that something happened on the square, so we got up and drove here at 3 this morning, and everything in our store, it was just a waterfall inside.
In the Hayesville community of Du Bois County, sheds were ripped from their foundations. At one family farm, a large barn collapsed, leaving cinder blocks scattered across the property.
It's pretty overwhelming. You know, I think that's what I'm struggling with the most is trying to figure out how to balance, work and, running a business and trying to put the pieces back together here as well. But, I'm just grateful that, my family was safe and my house didn't get hit.
The Louisville office of the National Weather Service tells us 2 crews will be out again tomorrow, checking out damage in Washington County, Indiana, French Lick, and other surrounding areas.